Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation. My name is Mzungu. The time is 5 minutes past 7 o'clock. City Muga is in studio, and we also do have our guest in studio this morning. That is Kyle Scooter. I hope I'm saying this correctly. He is the CEO and founder Kuzana Investment. Kyle, good morning and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning, Mungala.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Did I say it correctly? Scooter.
Yeah, basically. So it's a Dutch name, but in the US we say shutter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how do you say it in Dutch?
Just like you said. Actually, I can't even say it the way you said.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're better than me.
So in the US it's shutter.
Shutter, yeah.
So I'll go with shutter. So Kyle Shutter, how are you doing?
Rock and roll. It's great to be here, 7 a.m. I'm ready to talk to the people who are the early birds.
Yeah. Do you know today is Mazingira Day in Kenya?
Right.
Okay.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is actually.
Holiday.
It is a holiday, but for everyone else who are asleep as we're here working in the studio, we're actually enjoying ourselves. So I'm not complaining. Maybe I am. I don't know. So Kyle, tell us a bit about Kuzana Investments. What is it about?
Great. Yeah. So we invest in the future huge companies of Kenya that today are just getting started. We provide $20,000 investment, that's like 2.5 million shillings, and 12 weekly workshops that take a company from where they are now to where they want to be as far as being able to delegate, getting their accounting in order, make sure they're not dodging the tax man anymore, so they don't have to worry about going to jail, make sure that they can have systems in place so that if they want to go to Diani, when they do go to Diani, they're not being called in 5 minutes with some emergency. I'm sure any entrepreneur can know this. They're getting, hundreds of calls a day of this problem, that problem. How do you actually run your business so you can be bigger than Bidco one day? That's the goal.
Wow. Let's go back to, you said you give companies $25,000?
No. They don't give. It's an investment company.
Yes.
He was talking amounts that they can invest. Okay.
In these companies.
Yes, and that was a figure that was mentioned. It's not the only thing they do. So let's ask him the question. Tell us about your investment portfolio. Tell us about how you invest, in what sort of company specific that you invest, and what is it that makes it possible for someone who is looking for an investment through your company, how they can get to you, and how it is that that investment is actually then put in the business of this person who has reached out to you. Just walk us through that process.
CT, you're very correct. It is not a gift. It is an investment. Yeah, and we do equity investments. So we start with $20,000. That's 2.5 million shillings.
Okay.
And then we can do follow-on up to $100,000. That's like 12 million follow-on. But equity is an interesting thing where you become business partners. So you're in the game together. So whereas a bank, they give you money and they expect interest back every month. Right? And if you don't pay, they'll come and break your knees or whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
That's their business. For us, we know there's ups and downs and we are in it for the long game. Yeah. So that's the gist of it. And then the kinds of companies that we invest in, there's lots of people doing tech, drones and software and things like, but we like the businesses that actually make money.
Okay.
Some people call them boring. I call them, boring in air quotes.
Yeah.
Where these are companies that are buying soybeans and selling soybeans.
Okay.
Right? Buying chickens, selling chickens to market. Importing mabati, and having a great home for people that removes
so
the
these
rain.
are the brick and mortar kind of companies that you're looking at.
Exactly right. We have done some fintech companies as well, but at the end of the day, we're looking for companies that the founder's very ambitious and they're really ready to do something where it really makes business sense. It's not a hope and a dream. It's like there's something really there,
Yeah.
That's the idea.
And so that's how you get to decide the company. The company has got to be a company that is actually making money. And to some extent, you've said boring, but that is where the real money is in the boring businesses, because they are the kind of businesses that actually have great returns, right? So by the time you're deciding on company A or B or C, do you like go through their books, or do you listen to a proposal? Do they submit proposals to you? How do you eventually get to make contact with these companies?
Perfect. So the way we find companies and what they do, it's very simple. We want the simplest process possible for someone to raise capital. And they submit a 15-minute application. They can go to Kuzana.co, that's our website, to apply right there. We've made it as simple as possible. As far as books go, most of these companies, they don't actually have their books in order. And that's part of the issue. They have bank statements, so we go through the bank statements with them to figure out what their revenue probably is and what their profit is. You know, if they haven't received any capital and they're able to pay school fees for their kids, they're probably profitable.
True.
Right? At least we call it ugali profitable.
Yeah.
You know, they're at least able to eat ugali and skuma on any day of the week. And so that's the thing, is they don't have their accounting in order. So we actually, in the program, in 12 weeks, we set up the accounting. Zoho, I'm sure you've seen those billboards around.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, they do a really nice job with their accounting software, but then it comes to, okay, how do you actually do that in the business? The software is only step one. Right? And so they can apply there. We want to be as fast as possible, faster than a bank. That's the goal. And we, the first batch, I think it took 109 days on average to invest.
Okay.
The next one was 89 days, and this one we're targeting 60 days.
So that's in 2 months.
In 2 months from now. So if they apply now, we just did our graduation 2 days ago for batch 2. And now we're going to do batch 3. We'll start in January, on the 7th of January. So far we've invested in 10 companies this year.
Right. Are they all in Nairobi or different parts of the country?
All different parts of the country. We've got Kisumu, Busia, Embu, obviously a lot in Nairobi as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And what is your role once you invest the money? Do you, because clearly you're partners at this particular point. So how does that work? Do you set up in their offices? Do they set up in your office, or do you form a WhatsApp group and have these conversations going on as far as management is concerned? How does it work? How does the partnership work?
Yeah, good question. So we have. There's 3 things we realized are more important than money. So previously I raised $20 million for companies in East Africa.
Wow.
And I think we've seen a lot of startups grow and then collapse. And so I saw lots of companies, they raised lots of money, but money alone is not enough. There's 3 things that are more important. We've got to focus, we want to professionalize, I talked about the accounting, but also you want community. Right? A lot of entrepreneurs are actually very lonely. The ones that are just getting started, they still have their high school friends that smoke weed, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And they're just moving on to, they're not at the level of like the Peter and Duatis, right? And so they're in this middle stage where like, oh, now who else am I going to be around? So this is where the 12 weeks comes in, where they form this batch friends, so that every week you meet up and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So we come together, they come to our offices. And then after that, we go and we visit them. Chicken, obviously, you can't do chicken slaughtering in our office. It's going to be, imagine doing chicken, here at Radio Generation, it'd be it'd be a bit of a mess. It's not an appropriate place for that kind of thing. But, in Embu, that's an appropriate place.
True.
And so, yeah, you go visit them and wow, the things you learn just being there with the entrepreneurs and seeing them work. The thing about a lecture is that you miss what's really going on with the entrepreneur or the person with their student. You go and you see them and you see they're picking up 200 phone calls a day. And you're like, wow, okay, that whole delegation class, that didn't really land for you. We still have other things we need to do to address so that you can actually delegate.
Right.
Whether it's a mindset thing of like, I don't want to let this go. I'm worried someone's going to steal my business. I want the quality to be extremely good. People are just used to having things go through me. I don't have systems in place so that when a customer calls or there's a complaint, people know how to handle it without me.
But those are actually legit fears where, and it happens a lot, where someone can actually steal your business, steal your clients, if they're not coming through you. So that means if I delegate that, to CT, for instance, CT is literally just, gathering information and wants to learn how the business is run. Then next month,
pretty soon he's a host.
In 3 months, he has his own business
radio show
next to mine. and now we are competing for customers. I mean, it is actually a legit fear. Is it something they've actually expressed?
Absolutely. It's absolutely legitimate fear. So as the business owner, to figure out where the moat is, I think the mistake people think about delegation is you think, oh, I'm just going to delegate this one time to this person and that's done. And it's not. It's a process. So you give them a little bit more leash on different things while figuring out what part of this you can control. Often the relationship with the buyer is the most critical thing. As an entrepreneur, we think that, your job is to build a great product, if it's HP or Apple or an iPhone.
Right.
What you really do is you're a salesman. All entrepreneurs fundamentally are salespeople. You're selling customers, you're selling to investors, you're selling to new employees. And so figuring out where it is in your business that you need to control is important. Also creating a brand. No one else can sell Bidco except Bidco. You can go and start your own oil company, that's fine, but you're not going to have like the same kind of thing, right? Someone can start a new Kuzana, but we already have the brand for that, and so we're already attracting those kind of people.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really good question. Everyone and different businesses are easier or harder to delegate. So a service business, let's say you're a lawyer, that one's very common for someone, the associate, to go start their own firm because, do they really need someone doubling their costs, right? Their hourly rate, versus they can just do it themselves. So you find law firms tend to stay small, versus oil processing like Bidco or a bank. Those tend to have a brand and there's some kind of thing there, some kind of moat. And so how do you figure out how to make that moat? That's a really good point.
Why did you determine to get into this line of business?
Such a good question. Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, that we saw so many companies that they went bankrupt. And the reason was they didn't have a strong foundation.
The country, the business that went bankrupt, in which country? This country?
I mean, around the world, but in Kenya is where I have experience. So I had a biogas business. I started when I was 23 here. So I came here, I traveled around Africa and came here for 2 weeks, and then I decided to stay. I didn't take my return ticket after that. And so I did that. I had a Thai restaurant as well. I had this capital raising business.
A what restaurant?
Thai food, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was just a gap in the market. As an entrepreneur, you're like, there's opportunity for these companies, but I've helped them raise money. And when you're helping them raise money and you're just doing that, you're putting Band-Aids on top of, or plasters, as we say in Kenya, right? On top of the situation to hide things so that you can raise money for them. Because you're like, this is a really big problem in this company, but we won't solve this. What if we actually solve those fundamental things, the delegation we talked about, the accounting, right? And then these companies could really grow. And then I just saw no one really doing that. The results speak for themselves. The companies, they double on average in 12 weeks. Just putting these systems in place, right?
So what happens in these 12 weeks that brings about the results that you speak of? What do you actually do in these 12 weeks, this 12-week program?
Yeah, well, people have to come for sure.
What do you walk through? Just an overview, not... I don't want you to give us the details. Just tell us, what do you walk people through that? Because clearly there's a mindset shift or change, and they look at whatever they were doing differently, and then they start doing it differently, because if they were doing the same thing, there would be no change in the results. But if there are changes, it means there's an entire shift in the way they were looking at whatever it is that they do. And we are saying that shift produces the results that one sees over a 12-week period.
Yeah. So let me give an example. There was one entrepreneur doing the soybean logistics, buying and selling soybean. Very simple business. When he came, he had two businesses actually. He had a chicken business and a soy business. Chicken business is a fine business, except it was taking half of his stress, but only 1% of his revenue. So the first thing was, why are we doing chicken? And it took about 4 weeks for his mindset to shift, because he was so committed to the chicken. And we're like, it's not working. Like, why are we doing this thing? And so the first thing is focus. So that's one of the things I talked about. Of the 3 things more important than money, focus. And focus is so difficult because, like you said, it's a mindset. How do you stop doing the 27 ideas? Any entrepreneur has 27 ideas before breakfast. And if you do all of them, you cannot be the best in the world at all 27, right? And so you find that one. So he started doing just soybeans. So that was the first thing. Then even when he came, we looked at the books and I was like, well, this is a mess, but we can sort this out. And he had the problem where he could not get any financing from anyone else because the accounts were not in order. One of my advisors looked at the books. He's like, don't do this company. There could be a fraud in here. This could be a disaster. And I was like, no, I think we can sort this out. I think I understand what's happening. And it ended up not being a fraud. It was just, not keeping your books well. Mm. And from there, he was able to raise from our $20,000 investment, another $200,000.
Really?
Of capital from other funders from both banks in Kenya and other capital providers. And then from there, he got a term sheet for $250,000. This all happened within 8 months.
Okay.
Imagine. Mm-hmm. So their revenue went from 5 million shillings a month to 21 million shillings a month. So they grew more than 4x. Is that a boring business? You're not bored if you're in that one.
If I'm making how much money again?
Yeah, 21 million.
That's definitely not boring.
Not boring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one thing. And then just the mindset. One thing I find very interesting, you as parents, I'm sure you have kids?
Yeah.
You guys have kids?
Yeah.
As parents, I call it tough love. You love your kids, right?
True.
But sometimes a few words can really set them in the right direction. True. You're like, you say you want to be the Rockefeller of avocado. Mm-hmm. Do you think Rockefeller would really do this? Like, would he really, go home at 5 p.m. on a Friday? No. And so they're like, oh yeah, I actually the thing is working harder, or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's like, why, how do we make these kind of things? One is a rich man, poor man mindset. This is a fun one. Sorry, am I interrupting you?
No, okay. I'm listening.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, you start poor. You start with nothing. Like you have zero revenue in your business. And you grow eventually and you can, you start to get some revenue, but you still have that poor man mindset where you drive across town to save 50 bob on boxes, right? When you could have had sent someone or you find them work closer or whatever it is. And so the first one thing we do is we calculate someone the value of their time. So let's say they double their company in 6 months, which is very realistic with Kuzana. So let's say it's worth the 20 million shilling business is going to go to 40 million. What's the value of your time? So it's about 1,000 hours in there. So your time is worth about 10,000 shillings an hour. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing something that's getting you less than 10,000 shillings for an hour of work, if you've got a teapot that broke and you're bringing it back to Carrefour to get an exchange, and that's going to take you an hour, and that teapot costs you 2,000 shillings, what are you doing? Give that teapot to your house help or whatever it is, and they can sort that thing out, right? Mm-hmm. Or give it to some friend.
And concentrate on what is important.
Exactly. So your time is worth now 10,000 shillings an hour. Then do that same calculation next year. It'll be worth 40,000 shillings an hour. And then you can start to think about a rich man mindset rather than a poor man mindset, which is appropriate when you're starting, right? Mm-hmm. But eventually you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset kind of thing.
When one talks about investments, essentially you're saying you are partnering with the people in whose businesses you invest. Mm-hmm. Is there a limit to the areas of the fields that you would invest in?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think I'd do probably not sports betting because I'm not sure I'd. I think it's a good use of people's money. So there might be some limitations like that, and then also the ones that we think really can scale to be bigger than Bidco, right?
Well, you see, what I'm actually asking is, I think you've understood it. What is your preference? What sort of businesses, given the business environment in this country, given the leaning that people have towards what they do, their consumption habits, and the trajectory of growth in the interest, what are the areas that you found you would give preference when it comes to investing?
Yeah. In short, anything in the logistics space does very well. There's a huge opportunity to move soybeans from A to B, chickens from A to B, pig feed from A to B, avocados from A to B. Like, that's a huge opportunity. So anything in logistics related, we really love. The bigger picture is if we're looking for a CEO who we believe can take the company to $10 million a year in revenue in 7 years profitably.
So the focus is not the business, but the minds behind the business.
Yes.
because that is what will make the business.
Of course.
So you invest in human capital, not
Oh.
so much the brick and mortar of the business.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the qualities that you look for: someone who understands business, somebody who understands what you need in your books, what and how the book should work. What other qualities do you look for in these people?
I mean, the things you look for is intelligence, energy, and integrity. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So someone who's smart, especially about this space, and then they have the energy where they're just going to keep on doing it. You look at the history of entrepreneurship, and there's no lazy, successful entrepreneurs. It doesn't happen, And it's fine to have someone who just wants to, hang out on the beach and whatever, but you're going to work hard. It's going to be a lot of work. And then obviously the integrity part is the most important. You don't want someone with low integrity but high energy and high IQ. They're going to, rip you off, right?
Yeah.
So that, how do you judge that? Through reference checks and what they've done before, and talking to their suppliers, seeing what their history is, seeing how they, show up on time, look through their books. You can't really hide your numbers for very long. Or look through if they don't have books, then look through their bank statements, talk to their banker, all those kind of things,
I'm glad you've mentioned integrity for this reason. Business in Kenya and the business ethos around it revolves around that very same word, integrity. And what it is that people consider in Kenya to be possible, to be acceptable. And yet, it may not necessarily represent any high standard of integrity. Meaning, what is considered to be acceptable in business may not necessarily represent integrity.
So you mean some people cheat and then get ahead by cheating rather than being honest?
Yes, cheating is what it boils down to, but it's people, the word I would use is shortcuts. You live in a gray environment when it comes to doing business. It may not even be illegal, but it can't stand the cold stare of daylight or a serious integrity test. I will give an example of what I mean. Somebody employs people and knows that the laws of this country require that the basic income that you're supposed to pay someone is X shillings. But you can get away by paying half. So you'll pay half. And you expect the person to do the same work. The requirement of our laws are that somebody works a certain number of hours for a certain pay. Your workers work longer hours, and there's no compensation for that additional hour that they... Things which ordinarily one would look at and say, but everyone does it. Yes, but you see, that doesn't make it right. And you, in so doing, you are in essence lowering the integrity quotient. So I'm talking about the business environment in Kenya, how Kenyans do business, and I'm looking at what you consider to be integrity, and I'm asking the question, what's the bar?
It's a really interesting question. It's very challenging. Because there's morality, there's ethics, there's legality and integrity, and they're not all the same thing.
They're not, but integrity more or less summarizes everything you've said, because it is a composite word that has facets to it, and everything that you've said can be encapsulated in that one word, integrity. They all equal integrity. When someone has integrity, they have this, and they have this, and they have this, and they have this, and they have this.
So let me give you a scenario.
Give me a scenario.
I was at this workshop on integrity in Kenya, actually, and it was one thing that was very important is showing up on time, right? I think everyone in the world has challenges showing up on time, but especially traffic here, and we have excuses, etc. So they had made a big deal about it.
Kyle, just allow me to interrupt you.
Yeah.
If you live in Nairobi, there's traffic.
Yeah.
There's traffic. There's traffic jam. You even have an idea when there's traffic. That can't be an excuse for being late.
Fair enough. I agree. Okay.
Please, continue.
So we go out for lunch, and we're coming back, and then the police stop us. And they're like, oh, you're going the wrong way on a one-way street. There's no signage for this. So the police have stopped us, and they, of course, want kitu kidogo, right? They want some chai. And we're like, okay, now we can't show up on time if we don't give a kitu kidogo.
Right.
And so we're going to be late, and we're not going to keep our word. Basically, integrity means keeping your word, what you said you were going to do. We're not going to keep our word if we don't give these guys some money. But if we give them some money, then we're breaking the law. Is that morally and ethically acceptable to us? And it's also illegal. So now what would you do in that situation? You said you were going to show up on time. It was a workshop about integrity. What would you do?
I wouldn't have looked for a place to eat that is far away from where the meeting is taking place.
But you're in the situation, right? So you're in the situation.
Well, you asked me and I've answered. Or I would look for people who can deliver food to me. So I would actually eat at the meeting place. So I would not be...
What Kyle is asking, in the situation, forget all these things that you say.
No, the question, I'm actually responding to the question that he asked. What would I do? And I've told him what I would do.
So you wouldn't be late in the first place?
Now, it wouldn't arise.
You wouldn't...
So you're never late? You've never been late before?
Oh, I'm late a hell of a lot of times. I even oversleep sometimes. I'm simply saying... If I'm cognizant of certain realities...
We can't invest in this one here. He's always late, huh?
Right?
I'm late plenty of times. I miss plenty of meetings. It's not that I'm saying that I'm above these things. I'm talking about the reality of understanding a situation would determine my actions and my thinking. I am aware that at certain hours in this city, there'll be jams. I am not leaving that building to go and look for food. That food is going to come to me.
Okay.
Yes, that's number one.
Or you postpone your lunch.
And I will not postpone my lunch. The food will come to me. I'll have planned in advance and say the food is going to come to me. When it comes to the question that we're dealing with here is not eating the food. What do you do when the police stop you and you're being inconvenienced because you know what you need to do? Well, first of all, what you're trading in at the time you're stopped is inconvenience. The police is offering you inconvenience and is asking you, this is an open market. How much are you willing to pay for this inconvenience to go away? That really is the issue. So, if you're willing to put up with more inconvenience, then you will not pay. If you want the inconvenience to go away, then you'll negotiate what you consider a fair recompense for the money. Now, you stop the thinking there. Is there anything else you can tell this policeman that will give you passage to go where you want to go, but not get you to remove money to give him?
Right.
The answer is yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have examples of that too. So sometimes you can talk nicely. I was trying to get a work permit some time back. I hope this one's not going to be in trouble on the air. We'll find out.
No.
Hopefully statute of limitations is over. But I talked to someone high up in immigration, and they're like, my friend, if you want a work permit, you need to give me, I think it was 20,000 shillings at the time. And I was like, or 50,000. I was like, why don't we do this? I had a biogas company. We became friends. He's got cows at home. So I'm like, we've got a biogas business. Why don't I give you a discount on the biogas business, on the system? And he's like, okay. So he agreed. So I jacked up the price and then I brought it back down to normal. So I gave him the normal price. And then he was happy he got a biogas system. I got my work permit.
Right.
And so sometimes you can solve these problems.
Yes, that's the point. You didn't break any law there, did you?
No, he didn't.
No, you came to a business understanding.
He was smart about it.
Yes, you used whatever variables you had at your disposal, and you realized if I give this money, I'm breaking the law. But I can be of help to this person.
Yeah.
Something that he or she will find agreeable without us actually. Now, again, the inconvenience of not getting your work permit, you found a way around it. Okay? When you talk of integrity, and I asked the question, was the bar. Okay? There are those who will say, no, it amounts to bribery. I would say, no, it doesn't actually. It doesn't. This fellow had a need, which he probably hadn't realized until you told him, this need I can actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
So you exchanged, you provided a solution for him, and he gave you a solution. Now, those who would argue, but it's his job to give you the work permit. Yes, it is. The earlier question was the reality of the business environment in the country. You confronted it head on.
Exactly. So the reality is a really interesting thing. And you're hitting on the most important thing for me in deciding whether actually to invest my own money in Kenya. Because ultimately, this was my money that we started with, So in the environment, the reality of the environment is the best competitive advantage in Kenya is tax evasion. some guy who's not paying import duty, not paying VAT, is importing iPhone cases or Android cases, and you're paying taxes, you're just not going to be able to compete on the same price.
True.
Right? And so, like, what do you do in those situations? Do you want to be in those industries where that is a thing? In the U.S., if you want to get your passport quickly, so it takes 6 weeks to get your passport.
Okay.
If you want it quickly, you pay extra. In Kenya, there's no official channel for that.
Yeah.
Right? You pay, you get it in 6 weeks. You want it tomorrow, you make a friend with someone, right? So these are the things like, okay, the system, like you're saying, it's not actually set up to be able to solve some of these business problems. So you make unofficial solutions. They say English came to Kenya on a ship. Democracy came to Kenya on a ship too.
Right.
So you mix tribal systems and democracy together, what you get is corruption. Because if you're going through some chief's land and you need some help there, you give the chief something for giving you safe passage and being able to, provide safety and all these things, right? But if you combine that with democracy, now it becomes corruption. So now we have these mixed systems. And of course, Brother Trump is forcing, and Biden force certain things on Kenya. Africa was cut up by Europeans. So my people, right, they chopped it up and they divided tribes and they grouped people the way they wanted to. And so we're dealing with a system that wasn't organically formed. Okay. Right?
But even if it was organically formed, we would then move the idea or the discussion to human nature, how humans behave. What the Europeans did here, they'd been doing it to themselves for the longest of time. It was like there was target practice in their own country.
Right.
So when
they're practicing chopping up land.
Exactly, and chopping up each people and claiming someone else's land.
And the wars in Europe.
Yeah.
That was
for centuries, not decades.
Yes, they were very good at chopping up land.
Exactly. So by the time they came here, they knew exactly how to aim and shoot. They had figured that out a long time ago, and and that is the reason why. The forerunners to their imperialism and colonialism were business entities. They had understood this thing perfectly. Okay? Now, the British understood it better than most people because they colonized you and then they formed something they call the Commonwealth. So all of you people whom we colonized, you were now just one big happy family. And it's called the Commonwealth. That's really smart. So you actually forget that these fellows actually colonized you and gave you a bloody hard time when they were at it. Okay? Now,
they give you an invitation to the party and you accept.
Exactly.
When you were kicked out of the party in the first place.
In the first place, yes. Now, where you now live is full of people. Where you come from, it's full of people who had run away from their countries in Europe, specifically because things weren't working very well for them, whether
Correct.
it was religiously, economically, but they moved there.
Correct.
So they knew those people well because those were their people. So when they decided to look for the excuse with the Boston Tea Party, they had figured, these fellows, if we allow them to continue doing this, we won't have changed anything. We'll be exactly what we ran away from. So they got it. Now, your people have also understood how to make the law work for you. We are getting there. What do I mean? You deal with the problem, say, I'm giving an example of electioneering bribery by introducing lobbying. It is a legal process.
Legal bribery, yes.
Yes, you've actually ensured that you can bribe, but within certain structures.
Right.
Yes, you're in this industry, you engage a lobbyist who essentially carries money for you within the law to offer these representatives of the people certain development projects. But it is with the law exists. That's where our problem comes in. So what you're spot on about is now cultural practices. It is normal. When you grow up in a traditional setting, you never go to visit anyone empty-handed. You never do. You always take a gift to someone.
Yeah.
You visit a relative. And they also send you away with something that they have given you. It's either chicken or some yam or some sweet potatoes. It is normal. So when you think of that culture, when we talk about bribery in this country, that inconvenience, which is what is being traded, you're also being offered an opportunity to solve a problem. This fellow has a problem with it's a certain fiduciary issue, a state of impecuniosity. They don't have as much money as they would like to have. And since you're driving this nice car, they feel this represents money. So he's introducing a process by which you can share some of what you seem to have in abundance with him who doesn't have much. But they have the advantage of having the power to bring this discussion on terms that are favorable to them. That's what you're dealing with here. But when you just say it is bribery, it is. But contextually, you need to understand if that disparity did not exist and it wasn't so blatant as it is, then perhaps that wouldn't be in the same manner. The person wouldn't be using their power to try and have gain an advantage over you. But then again, they've seen it is a practice by even other people, perhaps in the political sphere, who have that power doing exactly the same thing. So I'm simply saying the ecosystem is actually a growth industry for the very thing that we're talking about. Now, my question was the bar. I'm back to the bar. The bar that you set. How does one navigate around these realities? Because
yes, so Kenya is a low trust environment. You see this at any intersection. If you wait at a stop sign, you will never get through that intersection. So you see some new Americans, they've come to Kenya and they're very funny. They're waiting and you're like, this guy's not getting anywhere, right? Richard Smith, whoever, right? So once you become Kenyanized, as a motorcyclist, my goal sometimes is to drive. I'm a motorcyclist.
Yes.
So I used to enjoy roller coasters in the U.S. I don't anymore. They're boring. Would
I be wrong in saying that you're somewhat suicidal?
It's a two-wheel death machine.
Go on, please. Yes.
To go through these intersections without even putting your foot down ever. So you're just like balancing and getting through. So if you have this physicality of you must get your nose of your car in front of the other car in order for you to get through, and you wave and you say, it's the darndest thing to me, because in America people be hooting at you and they'd be angry. Here you're just like waving and you're like begging face, and then
and then you go through.
Moving. Yeah, exactly. So like that's the scenario. So it's a low trust environment generally, but in the specific case, it's a high trust environment, and this is something that most people don't understand, is that when this comes to investment. So we Mzungu, we come here and we invest the same way we do in the U.S. We invest one by one. But actually, the sense of community, the specific trust, is much stronger. CT, you're losing it. What have I cracked you up about so much?
Don't
share
worry,
the joy.
He'll recover.
Okay.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So the sense of community is actually very strong in Kenya. So why do we invest one by one? Why not invest like a group? So Chama, it's an idea that does not make sense to an American. Why would we pool our money and give it to Mungala one day and CT the next? So you could just run away, but you cannot because you're part of this community, right? And so we're actually building trust as we keep the merry-go-round going. This does not make sense to an American at all. It's taken me 15 years being here to get this.
Right.
So, so you're saying so what's the bar of all of this? And the bar is that when you're in that community, the integrity is extremely high.
Okay.
You do what you said you're going to do. But have we really made an agreement with Ruto, with Zakayo about the taxes? Those things are just imposed on us. That was not an agreement amongst our group. That was something that was imposed. So people make their own arrangements when it comes to those kinds of things to deal with that. But amongst ourselves, I have money today, I buy beer for everyone, know?
Okay.
And so within Kuzana, within the investment, the trust must be very high.
Okay.
And the way to enforce that is to have that community. And, we invest, in your business, and then you're on his strategy board, you have some stock options. We're all supporting each other to hold each other accountable, So it's always creating that community, which is actually very strong and natural in Kenya.
So what I'm getting is that they create their own bar, decide, what is what amongst themselves. And I think that's actually a very good strategy, because at the end of the day, regardless of the country that you're in or you're investing in, that is something actually very critical in deciding if at all this is something that I want to do, if it's profitable, and if it is something that will definitely, if you're comfortable in doing it, then that's okay. What hasn't been clear to me, perhaps you said it before and it skipped me, is where the money is coming from to invest. At one point you said in the beginning you were investing your money. Are you still investing your money, or do you have other investors with you that actually invest into these businesses?
Yeah, good question. So initially it was my money, and then I went on to raise money from other people. So you always want to have some skin in the game when any investor wants to see that the founder also, contributed. So yeah, so we've raised money from Americans, Europeans, but also Kenyans. I think Kenyans are at least a third of the capital we've raised. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is very cool.
Good stuff.
Because they provide lots more value than just money by connections and advice and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
So this is something that people can actually join to invest, not just to seek for this particular funds. I can actually, if I'm an investor, I can join Kuzana and say, look, I want to put in my 2,000 shillings.
2,000 shillings, 2,000, 2 million, either one.
Exactly.
Yeah, we accept.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, in terms of the people that you've partnered with, the people that are coming to get these funds, are they balanced in terms of men and women? Is it more men? Is it more women? How is the gender parity like?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So it's mostly men, and investing in women has been very interesting, very tricky actually.
How so?
Because there was actually 2 women we tried to invest in, and then they said their husbands wouldn't let them receive the investment. So this was very interesting.
Hold on. They said what?
Yeah, the husbands would not let them receive the investment.
This is Kenya.
This is Kenya, yeah.
Which part of the country?
It isn't
both,
much which part of the
both
country.
central and coast.
But I'm interested.
What type of women? What is it about them? Because where you come from is important, but it's you.
Yeah.
What sort of
the
person?
individual
Yes.
woman.
What sort of person are you, and the ecosystem in which they exist? That ecosystem includes this person we're referring to as the husband. Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested. Where did this happen, and how long ago?
Yeah, it was this year. I mean, we just started this year, and one instance we got the feedback that the husband's like, why are this Mzungu giving you free money? What else are you doing for him?
Okay.
And then another one was, I think it was a case of sort of control, where it was like, I'm the one who's in charge. I'm in financing this business, so I'll lose control maybe. And so I posted about this on LinkedIn, being like, okay, how common is this? And it was very interesting to see in the comments where some women would be like, oh yes, this happened, or they would DM me and say, I can't tell anyone about this, but this happened to me, or I got a divorce because there was some women I've talked to who've got divorces so they could grow their business. Yeah, so that's what they said. That was their story. I'm sure there's 2 sides to the story, but that was what they told me. And also in the comments, some men who are like, yeah, women, I would not allow my wife to receive investment. So I was like,
why?
Yeah, it was very surprising. I was like, why would someone say that publicly, even if you would do that? So it just made me realize, culture is very different than what I'm used to. So it's a lot to get used to. Seems like it's surprising you as well.
It is actually. City. Why would
CT, is that surprising you?
No,
City is not surprised.
No.
Yeah, he's not surprised by anything anymore.
No, don't be fooled. There are things that surprise me.
But why would anyone tell their wife not to take this funding?
Look, let me put it to you simply. With all the modernity that we claim to have, we are a fairly paternalistic society. And even these modern Kenyan men are extremely traditional. You need to ask their wives, they will tell you just how traditional the men are. Our women are also more traditional than they think they actually are. Our traditions still bind us together. This generation that you once upon belonged to, the ones we're referring to as Gen Z, maybe they may be the people who have moved away from the traditions that have governed our lives, even with the infusion of this so-called modern Western way of looking at life. Now, what you're hearing is how men understand their relationships with their wives should be. And you're talking about a woman who gets money for an investment. It means she'll be economically independent. That is a problem for very many African men. A woman who is financially independent, it is a massive problem. They will not say it, but it is a problem for them. A huge problem.
I'm actually curious to know, how old were these women?
30s.
In their 30s?
Yeah.
Buana.
And the husbands are probably in their 30s. I'm trying to tell you that we are a paternalistic society. What that means is when it serves our interest well, we will our lingo will be very modern, and we will talk about ideas that are considered to be modern. But at our core, we're not different from our fathers or grandfathers.
No, I find that.
And
yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, forget the conversations you have with your buddies, like the ones you're going to have this evening, because tomorrow you're not coming to work. Forget that conversation.
I'm going to be with Kyle, by the way.
Most of that,
Yeah,
most of that conversation is false.
Yeah.
People don't actually tell you how they look at life. For instance, let me give you an example. For most African men, African Kenyan men, it is very normal to have a wife and a girlfriend or some girlfriends. It's just fundamental. But do people honestly say, I'm going to get married, but I also need to buttress this relationship with a girlfriend or two? Do they? No, they do not. It is a lie that we accommodate and we live, because when you say you're going out with the boys, you miss out a key component, the boys and other girls.
I think I'm going to make this into a topic in the next hour, but yes, continue.
You see, I am saying that influence that we have influences the way we conduct business, the way we actually understand relationships, and even the way in which we solve relationship issues when it comes to women. Many of the problems have to do with just our traditional thinking, which we are unwilling to move away from. But the support system that we have with this is also the women, the African Kenyan women. They're also more traditional than they think.
That was interesting, and also this LinkedIn post, the comments, some women saying, I need my husband to tell me what to do. That would give me direction. I think it's appropriate for men to veto an investment.
I mean,
and so I don't, well, not the majority of women, but definitely some women said that. So I was like, wow, okay.
I would understand if you need to consult your husband or your wife for that matter, and agree that, okay, fine, do we need to expand this business? Yes. Can we seek for funding? Yes. These are sources we can seek funding from? Yes. I understand when you need to make that consultation.
Advise, yeah.
But my husband wouldn't allow me to get it from a certain institution or a certain individual.
Paul.
Because...
Paul.
Yes.
I don't know who you hang out with.
Yeah.
But these are things you discuss. You may believe you're honest, but most of your friends are lying to you. They don't think the way you think. I'm telling you this. You meet a Kenyan woman, they'll talk. The conversation will be modern and even postmodern in terms of relationships and sharing.
Right.
Women, African women, want a man who is going to look after them. Literally. Let me repeat so that you hear it. Literally. You will foot the bill for everything.
And I do foot the bill. What I'm asking is, if this is her business that she started,
I think
it could be a boutique, butchery, whatever it is, and she wants to advance, because I'm certain she wants this business to get somewhere, not to just stagnate at a certain point, and she needs funding for that. Clearly, she's free to get it from anywhere she wants.
That's theoretical. When it happens to you, and you do what you're trying to get us to believe you will do, then we can have this conversation. For now, it's pure theory. Believe me.
Are these issues you face in, I don't know, have you invested outside Kenya?
I have, yes.
All right. Are these issues you've encountered in those other places?
I haven't encountered them other places, no. So I only invested in the U.S. and Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, these things that I'm speaking of are useful because they explain why it is marriages tend to last. The country he comes from, divorce is a growth industry.
It's a big business.
Yes, it is.
I know.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to say is,
but are they happy marriages that last? You know,
they are, but yes, but they're becoming extinct. They're really not that many. And if you look at the marriages that last, there's certain values, and most of them are traditional, that those people believe in, and the relationship works for them.
Okay.
It's when you're experimenting with these newfangled ideas, okay, that moves you from a core that you've understood, and then there's no continuity in understanding that these are things that need to be looked upon and discussed on a regular basis.
Right.
It isn't as though you start and it's stuck there. It's never stuck in time. And then you juxtapose it against the person you were when you married and 10 years who you are. You're not the same person.
Okay.
You have children, you change immediately. Now these changes are never accommodated. But the African man doesn't change much. That's the point.
Okay.
It's similar to the corruption. There was polygamy, and then we brought in Christianity. It just suddenly appeared, honestly, 120 years ago. People just switched, but a lot of cultural practices are still there. I was always very surprised when I came to Kenya originally. People still believe in witchcraft very much.
Oh, yes.
But they'll say, but Jesus will protect me. But witchcraft does exist. And so these things exist simultaneously. Monogamy exists alongside polygamy. Democracy exists alongside, traditional practices of giving tribute to, whoever's land you're passing through. So these kind of things. There's also convenient lies, which you talked about, which is the idea that a drunk in the park will be drinking out of a bottle of whiskey in a brown paper bag. Because then we have this lie, the police, it happens in the US, happens here, they'll be like, he's not publicly drinking because we don't know what's in the bottle. It could be water, right? And they want the convenience of not arresting this guy for not really doing anything. He's just there and drunk, and they got lots of other bigger fish to fry.
True.
And so we have these convenient lies that like you said, you've got a wife, but then you're going out with the boys, quote unquote, with some girls.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a story to survive in the culture. And then there's as a business, how do you have integrity? But if you follow all the rules to the T, you'll never get anywhere.
There's something
I will never get my truck through an intersection if I follow the rules.
There's something
there's
something you figured out, which is actually very, 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 very key to what you're saying, what you're discussing. And you've the community. See, you've discovered or you figured this out. And why am I saying you figured it out? On this continent, the reason why the marriages that we talk of work is because of the fidelity we hold towards the community. When you get married, it's not just you and this lady. There are other people involved in this. And somewhere along the line, you are accountable to these people. So the issues that often bring about the eventuality of divorce are muted somewhat by this community.
Right.
Because there's a reference point you can go to. You're not going to the guidance and counseling that we seek and we pay for is provided for by this community.
Exactly.
Somebody will tell you, no, don't look at it. This ought to be. Now, if you take that thinking into business, the chances of success are extremely high. Because the integrity we're talking about is brought about.
You're not receiving investment from me. You're receiving investment from the Kuzana community.
Yes.
That's why we say Kuzana. To grow together.
Yes. So, yes. Go on.
Yeah. So
you find that you are the accountability factor. These are people these are people you relate to. It is easy for them to hold you to account, and it's easy for you to accept the accountability that they bring to bear on whatever it is that you do.
And now, what has happened when people moved to Nairobi? What happened to that community? You had a community where you're from. You're near all your aunts and uncles and relatives by marriage and otherwise.
Right.
What happened when everyone moved to Nairobi? You're close to everyone, but are you really close to everyone? You're not anymore, right? You're actually far from your community. And so we recreate communities. This actually happened in Europe in the 1500s, 1400s. People migrated to cities. They broke their traditional things. It used to be that land was handed down one to the next. Then in the 1500s, land started being given to the church. This totally changed how society worked. The idea that you get buried where your father is from, that used to exist in Europe. It still exists in Kenya.
Okay.
Right? And so now it's okay, we need to create new communities because we're losing the old communities we had. My girlfriend, my partner, we go to the village once a year maybe, but they're not close with those people anymore.
Do you have another 15 minutes we can spare so that we discuss this thing before you leave?
Okay.
Can you spare another?
Okay,
fine.
Yeah. All right. So, this is what I'm going to do. Check out some of these comments here. We do have King David Lubale. He has clarified that Kenya is under poor mindset state leadership, kitu kidogo, and excuses and of course being late. Then Gypsy Corner says, we're laughing at you. Hello, good conversation. Misogyny is very ripe in Kenya. That is very true.
Right.
Paternalism reigns high. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going to take a short break. When we return, of course, Kyle will engage with us for a minute or so before we let him go. And I want to talk about that issue of why you men are not letting your women invest. Like, what on earth is wrong with you? If at all you are that kind of person. So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
In the beginning, there was morning radio.
It's 8 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Kenyan activists and their Ugandan counterparts are now calling on the African Union and International Human Rights Organization to intervene and stop the ongoing kidnappings in East African region. Speaking as they march to the Ugandan embassy in Nairobi, the activists pressed for the release of Kenyans Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, who went missing days ago in Kampala. On Tuesday this week, relatives of the two, together with human rights defenders, visited the KNCHR offices in Nairobi to officially record statements and seek the Commission's support in pushing for answers from Ugandan authorities.
Serikali ya Kenya itoe taarifa rasmi kuhusu waliko Bob Njagi na Nicholas Oyo. Tunajua kuna mateka wengi wa kisiasa ambao wamepotezwa na hizi serikali tatu za Afrika Mashariki, kule Uganda, kule Tanzania na hapa Kenya. Tunaomba haya mambo yaishe mara moja.
We demand urgent attention from the East African community, African Union, the international human rights bodies to investigate and address this abuse of power.
The family of Brian Odhiambo, the Nakuru fisherman who went missing while in the custody of Lake Nakuru National Park officials, is expressing frustration over what they say are attempts to stall a court-ordered search for his body. This comes after the DCI secured a court order to conduct an extensive search within the park. The family's lawyer says they are concerned about the slow pace of implementing the directive. Brian went missing on January 18, 2025, while reportedly fishing at Lake Nakuru National Park.
The Directorate of Criminal Investigations sought and obtained a far-reaching court order on Monday from the Chief Magistrate's Court at Nakuru, authorizing extensive search and exhumation operation within the park. We are, however, deeply concerned about the pace of implementation. We respectfully urge that the process be expedited. Any further delays risk compromising crucial evidence.
President William Ruto has called on African leaders to accelerate efforts to strengthen trade within the continent and invest in local industries to unlock Africa's full economic potential. Speaking during the 24th COMESA Summit at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, President Ruto noted that intra-African trade remains at just 14%, far below other global regions. He urged governments to adopt bold strategies to raise it to at least 50%.
Excellencies, intra-COMESA trade, though improving, still accounts for a very small share of total trade. Africa, as we all know, and I was looking at the numbers this morning, only contributes 3% to global trade. And as we also know, intra-Africa trade, and I'm sure my brother Wamkele is here, is only 14% of all our trade. If you compare with Europe, 70% of their trade is intra-European. They trade 70% of their products within Europe.
The National Assembly has passed the Privatization Bill 2025, marking a significant step in reforming Kenya's regulatory framework for the privatization of public entities. According to the National Assembly, the primary objective of the bill is to repeal and replace the existing framework to enhance the efficiency of public entities through privatization. The legislation introduces a structured approach to privatization, aiming to streamline processes, ensure transparency, and align with national economic goals.
Thank you, honorable members. I therefore now put the question, which is that the Privatization National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2025 be now read at that time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
World leaders have welcomed the news that Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a Gaza peace plan. The deal paves the way for the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza, and the entry of aid into Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the agreement a great day for Israel. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the deal was a moment of profound relief that will be felt around the world.
I strongly welcome the news that a deal has been reached on the first stage of the peace plan in Gaza. This is a moment of profound relief that will be felt around the world, but particularly for the hostages, their families, and for the civilian population of Gaza.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. The time right now is 7 minutes past 8 o'clock. We are still in studio with Kyle Shetter. He is the CEO and founder, Kuzana Investment. We're just talking about investment opportunities that are available to Kenyans and other folk. Actually, he's told us that in the next couple of days, is it days or weeks, you're heading to Eldoret and Murang'a counties.
Yep. Motorcycle trip.
Yeah, or you're going to be on your bike. Mm-hmm. So you're going to look for investors, or rather investment opportunities.
Investment opportunities, yeah.
All right. So what kind of businesses are you looking for?
I mean, the good ones, right? The ones that make money. So we typically invest in
the boring ones.
The boring, quote unquote boring.
Yeah.
They boringly make money. We've done everything from, yes, fintech, but also soybean logistics to Mabati sales to health food. Media would be very interesting. Podcasts, investing in a podcast should be a great business, I think, in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's already doing 300,000 shillings a month in revenue.
300,000 shillings a month.
So that's what we're looking for. Sometimes we'll do something earlier, like if they already have planted 100 acres of avocado, they already established a lot of traction, but typically you want to see something with, at least that. Yeah. Up to the largest we did was 6 million shillings a month in revenue already.
Yeah. What are some of the, I want to call them weird, but perhaps they're not weird. What are some of the strangest ideas you've invested in here in Kenya?
I wouldn't say, I'd say we don't do very many weird businesses. But
one that you wouldn't find in the States, for instance.
I mean, one is a business that does managu. It's called Nyumbani Greens. Delicious Kenyan African vegetables. We've imported, lettuce and whatever from Europe, but actually the real nutrients you can find locally. I think there's a push back to, okay, what are the traditional foods that are healthy, that made people healthy? They could walk, hundreds hundreds of kilometers, right? And so like that's one where they do delivery of traditional greens, and they do it for, average people, but also, the politicians' wives, etc., are also buying from them.
So, and what is the one business that you have actually met in this country that you were not able to invest in, but you're like, I wish I could actually invest in this?
There's lots. Cosmetics, I think, is a really interesting one, or shea butter. Those are ones we really would like to do. Leather. I think there's opportunity for leather and leather goods.
Why are you not able to invest in leather?
Not able. We just haven't found the right opportunity. So
Okay.
you have to find the right entrepreneur.
Okay.
So as much as you like a sector, you get applications there, but it's just not the right fit. If someone is just very focused on just, maybe they're doing like 20 different businesses and they refuse to give up the other businesses, or they don't have enough growth, or they don't have the integrity, they're not showing up on time to things. Right? The basic things, or you talk to their suppliers and they're like, oh yeah, these guys haven't paid us. So you just can't really invest at that point. They got too much debt. We do check people's, personal credit when they apply and see where that. Some of them have like, millions of shillings of outstanding loans. You can't invest. Yeah. So actually Kenya's become a much more friendly investment climate. Now you can get more info on people.
Yeah. But you can invest in a company that has debt, just not that much debt.
Yeah, you could, if they have debt, yeah. But if they're underwater, then it's a problem. Or if the founders just have personal debt, then there's just too much of a risk of money being siphoned off.
What do you do, and how do you go about determining a business's intrinsic value?
Yeah, for us, it's pretty straightforward. We look at what the stock market in Kenya does and have a little bit of a discount, and then just, compare the two. So a company doing, I don't know, 1 billion shillings a year, and the stock market's worth, X. They're doing, 10 million shillings a year, then they're worth whatever that is, 100 times less. It's pretty straightforward. Or a way that a company can easily value themselves, we look at about 8 times gross profit.
Yeah. Okay. Again, like I said, there are some very good business ideas here, and I'm sure you'll find some in Eldoret. But what has made you want to go to Eldoret and Murang'a specifically? You could have gone to any other place, or is it just a place where you'll start and then spread out your tentacles to the rest? Visit the other counties.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we visited lots of different counties. But your question about who to invest in, I think athletes could be a very interesting...
Is that the reason you're going to Eldoret?
That could be a very interesting thing to invest in. Some friends who are marathoners, they say, oh, this guy's faster than me and he runs barefoot. They just don't have the shoes or whatever it is. So there's lots of opportunity actually in sports. So it could be in the athletes themselves, or it could be in facilities to support the athletes.
Yes.
Like we're just at the very beginning of helping Kenyan athletes. I think like the Rugby Association has gone down quite a bit. There's a huge football opportunity. Basketball is coming up. There's so many youth as well that, okay, how do you reach youth? Any product you have, you need to reach the youth through a youth thing, which is sports. So if you're a bank, there's gonna be so much sponsorship opportunity. All the billboards are gonna have, famous athletes on them in 5 or 10 years. And who's managing those athletes? Someone should manage it. There should be some talent agency for that.
That's why they're going to Eldoret.
Yeah, so that's one reason. Obviously, the agriculture is huge there. I think there's just a strong mindset. Murang'a, you just see lots of interesting entrepreneurs coming from there. James Mwangi, Peter Nduati, Maguna Supermarket. And so it feels like there just becomes places like Silicon Valley where you just have this growth of talent. It comes up. You see it in Shenzhen, in China. It just happens in the world. In Netherlands, in like, I don't know what, the 1700s, or London in the 1800s.
Right.
We're just like huge, fountains of talent.
There's a lot of musical talent in this country. Have you invested in any artist's studio maybe?
We haven't yet, no.
Okay.
Would love to. I think it'd be very interesting.
All right. I'll introduce you to a couple of them.
Oh, good.
Yes, perfect. I will. Definitely. All right. Before we let you go, what is that one thing people need to know about Kuzana that should be, like, apart from the money, of course, that should be the main attraction so that they can actually consider getting in touch with you?
Yeah. I think go from a business that causes you stress to one that causes you joy. And what would that be like if it did cause you joy? So the best business is the one that you enjoy doing, which makes it's not even work. So instead of work-life balance, work-life integration, right? I'm enjoying chatting with you. We're talking about business, but it's fun, right?
It is actually.
Right. I'm actually having fun with both you guys. And so how do you, if your business becomes like that, then you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable once it's just something that you enjoy. Your friends are doing this. You've got the support that you need, right? And so, so definitely encourage people to apply to Kuzana, and we're looking for the top 1% best entrepreneurs and help them grow bigger than Bidco.
Right.
So they go to kuzana.co.
There's something I want to ask you. What's the make of your motorbike?
It's a Kibo. You know Kibos?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So Kiboko, I guess is where the name comes from. Kenyan assembled.
Why did you choose that particular motorbike?
I mean, it's a good size. It's durable, and I like to support Kenyan-made products and try them out. And then also, it's very easy to repair. Repairs is a very critical thing. If you buy a BMW and you're an Eldoret, or you're God forbid, even further out than that,
and it breaks down.
Where are you gonna find a new spare? Or you hit a pothole, which there's a few of them around Kenya. So
what's the engine capacity?
250.
Well, that's big.
So it's good size. Yeah.
It's a very good size.
Yeah, you see a Boda guy up country, and they're like so impressed. They've never seen a bike that big before. Sometimes you're like, "Wow, you've got a machine," So you feel like a boss, even though in Nairobi 250 is small, but there up country.
In Nairobi, we are used to 300, 600.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does it use to propel it? Electricity, or does it?
No, it's a gas engine.
Yeah, petrol. I was thinking about electric, and those are super fun bikes because their acceleration's amazing, and around Nairobi, you're just like meow, meow, meow.
But the range
is
the problem.
So if you're wherever, in Iburu or wherever, Subukia, what are you gonna do?
City, do you want to buy a bike?
I have no wish to buy a bike.
Okay.
I like bikes. I like the idea of bikes. I will never buy one. I will not ride one. I rode some when I was young, and I was dissuaded. I moved away from that particular thought process completely. But I like
the idea.
Well, not just the idea. I like looking at them. I love the power they have. I love what they can do. And I remember a time when I first came across a motorized tricycle. That almost convinced me I should consider
buying one.
But that thought disappeared as quickly as it had appeared.
Yeah,
so,
please don't.
Please don't. Your wife told you no?
No, I did never discuss it.
He told himself no.
I looked at it, thought about the process, very good, then I figured, no. There are things you may like, but you think about it, you probably wish you hadn't thought so much about it, because if I hadn't given it thought, then who knows, I might actually have owned a bike, but I gave it thought, and I decided against it.
Okay.
Yes.
Kyle, thank you so much for coming through. How do we get in touch with Kuzana again?
Go to kuzana.co. Our email's there, phone number. Join the WhatsApp community. There's a community of more than 500 entrepreneurs in the WhatsApp community just to discuss entrepreneurial topics. Definitely apply and refer someone. We do offer a commission for people who refer, and if we invest in them.
Okay.
So yeah, kuzana.co.
Kuzana.co. Just
.co. Yes.
Okay. There you have it, folks. Kuzana.co. Get in touch with them if you have that biashara that you'd like to expand. An expansion by this is necessary, and you cannot, unless your father is a billionaire, you will need to get some money somewhere. But this is where we let him go. Coming up in a short while, we do have Mr. Noor. He's been here before, and the conversation is going to be around community-based organizations. So don't go too far. We will be right back.
Previously on the most talked